Hey, good morning, CrossCheck coaches. This is Justin McCain. Hope you're doing well. It is February 7th. We are a couple of weeks from finishing up the 2018-2019 CrossCheck basketball season, and it's been good. It's been a challenge in some ways, but also just really thrilling in a lot of ways as well. And so thank you for being a part of it, partnering with us in it, it's been such an amazing opportunity to meet a lot of you, interact with a lot of you, and so we thank you. I wanted to come to you this morning and just send you a little bit of word of encouragement and a challenge as we get closer to the playoffs. It never fails when the playoffs arrive. People start acting like donkeys. They just start acting crazy. Outside of themselves, not themselves, and we just want to get ahead of that and just make a challenge to understand that in the midst of even playoffs and intensity and competition, God still has something for us. Ways He wants to grow us, to challenge us, and God wants the glory from our reactions, from winning and losing, and so. Just think about this word idolatry. Idolatry is all around us. It's in our hearts. It's in the kindest person that you know. They struggle with idolatry. The worst person that you know struggles with idolatry. And the reality is idolatry is always rooted in self. And in one sense, idolatry is the way sinners look outside of themselves to find salvation. And salvation being rescue from hardship and a path to fulfillment. And sports are a terrible way to do that. We hope that acceptance and comfort and control, power, success, or even something else will make our lives okay, will make our lives better. And our idols may seem to focus and depend upon others. So though our idols may require the participation of others, idolatry is a strategy to benefit yourself. And so, for example, if I want to please others so that I will feel better about myself, right? We do that. If I want to please others so I'll feel better about myself and have a better day and know that people like me and love me, that is not a way to function. Because making others happy is only a means to an end, not an end in and of itself. And so as a strategy for gratifying myself, it actually is inherently selfish. And so just apply that to the way you handle your parents, the way you handle your players, and the way you handle yourself. But more than even selfishness, at its root, idolatry is the way that we play God. When we refuse to worship the true God and choose to build our lives around something or someone else, we are exalting ourselves above God. We are the best at that. We exalt ourselves above God as professionals. If you're looking to build professional athletes, just realize that when you function this way, you're building professional idolaters. And as idolaters, we in effect survey the universe, including God, and decide what's best for us. God created all things to worship and serve Him. Do you hear me? God created all things to worship and serve Him. But as idolaters, we play God by devising strategies and methods to make the world serve us, even a sports league. But even our efforts to rid ourselves of God take on the expression of worship. And so this is because we were made for worship. We were created for worship. And even in our rebellion against God, we cannot stop worshiping. We just find another worshipful way to serve ourselves. And so, guys, let's put that to death. Let's put that to death in our families. Let's put that to death in our jobs. Let's put that to death on the sports field, on the court. Let's put this idea to death. This idea of idolatry and serving self. You are a coach. You are a participant in this league because God wants worship from you. And so just remember that as we go into the playoff season. And a great Psalm 24, if you're looking for a psalm or a Bible verse, a Bible chapter to read. Psalm 24 and Psalm 25 are two great chapters the psalmist wrote to help us kind of redirect our gaze and our worship. I also wanted to share with you real quick this little book, Don't Waste Your Sports, by C.J. Mahaney. A lot of you may have it. I've given it out before. But there's a little section in here called The Humble Athlete. And I just wanted to just kind of read a couple things as an encouragement, talking about the humble athlete or the humble coach. The humble athlete recognizes his limitations. No athlete has unlimited skill. With 2 minutes remaining in a tied basketball game, you want the ball in the hands of Michael Jordan. In the bottom of the ninth of a tied baseball game, you'd be wise to bench Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan eventually discovered what we all must realize, that none of us are universally gifted. And we all come with a divinely imposed limitation. So it's just the kindness of God. So the first, the humble athlete recognizes limitations. The second, the humble athlete welcomes critique and correction from coaches and teammates. No one enjoys being corrected. But if we're humble, we realize that we have weaknesses and we welcome correction. Third, the humble athlete acknowledges the contributions of others. No athlete accomplishes anything alone, right? We know that as coaches, no athlete accomplishes anything alone. The Golden State Warriors are the Golden State Warriors, not just because of their best player, but because they're a team of superstars. So any achievement is a group achievement. And a humble athlete who scores doesn't dance in the end zone by himself as if no one else was involved in the play. Instead, he acknowledges that his team made the score possible. And third, the humble athlete is gracious in defeat and modest in victory. And for most of us, losing is inevitable. Losing with a proud attitude isn't. When the humble athlete loses, he is gracious. He recognizes that his opponents played better, and he sincerely congratulates them on their win. So that's third. The humble athlete honors his coach. Think about it. Your coach sacrificially gives his time and energy so he could be a better player. And if he's like most coaches, he doesn't even get paid for it, right? That's the reality for us in CrossCheck. And so that's another thing that a humble athlete does. He honors his coach. Fifth, the humble athlete respects officials. That is to be understood. The humble athlete doesn't protest a call, even if it was inaccurate. When the referee blows a call, how will you respond? Will you demand a review? Will you roll your eyes? Will you mumble an insult? Will you curse the referee? Or will you humbly accept the call as part of God's plan for that day? And finally, the humble athlete gives glory for all his athletic accomplishments to God, because he knows that God has created him with those specific gifts, not so that he can get glory, but for God to get glory, and for God to get the fame, and for God to get all of our worship. And so this is a good little book. I would encourage you to pick it up. If you don't have one, let me know. I'll be glad to send you one or meet up with you, give you one. It's a great little book on redirecting our gaze and our thoughts and our worship when it comes to sports, competition, and serving one another in those arenas. So thanks for watching, and please reach out to us if there's anything we can do for you as we come to the close of this basketball season. And we will see you guys this Saturday for the semifinals.